Good evening and welcome to Business 7. My name is Philippus Usiku, your host. Tonight we'll be talking about mining. I'll be joined by my colleague Augetto Graig, who has recently visited the Rössing Uranium mine. And then as usual, we'll bring you the top 5 stories that made headlines on the African continent. Stay tuned.
Every day, you make choices that make you legendary. Journey together with us on the path to securing your legacy as a member of the League of Legends. With the Select Platinum Bundle Fee Premium Bank offering, you will access tools that will enable you to thrive. If you earn 850,000 Namibian dollars per annum or more, you can apply for this offering today via bankvintage.com.na for only 447 Namibian dollars per month. Bank Vintage, a member of Capricorn Group.
Kicking off, let's look at the top 5 stories that made headlines on the African continent as provided by Reuters.
Here's what's been making the business headlines in sub-Saharan Africa this week. Democratic Republic of Congo and South Africa have vowed to revive Congo's giant Inga 3 hydroelectric project as Pretoria looks for a solution to its crippling power crisis. The $14 billion scheme, harnessing the power of the Congo River, has been repeatedly delayed by red tape and disagreement between Congo and its partners. Also in DRC, state-owned Gécamines said on Thursday that it aims to produce 30 metric tons of germanium per year. That's after China announced export curbs on Monday on some gallium and germanium products, causing concern among companies in the semiconductor and defense industries. Gécamines chairman Guy Robert Lukama said some germanium could come to the market in October from a plant that is nearing completion. Tech industry metals have also been in focus in Zimbabwe, where China's Zhejiang Huayu Cobalt has commissioned a $300 million lithium plant. It will produce 450,000 metric tons of lithium concentrates a year. Economically struggling Zimbabwe is trying to consolidate its position as one of the world's top battery metals producers. Senegal's President Macky Sall is seeking to lure more foreign capital to his country with promises that difficult and repressive customs and tax rules would be reformed. Plans include, he said, the digitization of trade and investment protocols, better protections for investor rights, and tax breaks. And finally, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has ordered the suspension of a newly introduced 10% tax on single-use plastics. Nigeria is one of the biggest plastic polluters on the continent, contributing some 2.5 million metric tons of plastic waste annually, according to official data, some of which ends up in the sea. But Tinubu's spokesman said the tax introduced in March was being reversed to reduce costs for businesses and households.
Joining me in studio is Augetto Graig. He's a senior journalist here at NMH. Welcome to the Business 7 studio.
Thank you very much, Philip. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, please take us through your journey as a journalist and how you developed a passion for mining.
Yeah, Philip, I was born in 1977. Those years we were still in apartheid. One of the insidious ways in which people were disadvantaged was by denying access to information, just basic information with which you can make informed decisions. So as I grew up and having witnessed Namibia becoming independent, I was saddened to see that we still had that hangover. We still have these silos of information. We have highly skilled and highly educated people. We have a lot going on in the country, but most of our people aren't informed, and in that way they are not empowered. So my passion for journalism really came when I realized that I could contribute to empowering my fellow citizens by providing them with accurate and timely information with which they can make decisions. In terms of mining, most of our major mines are listed companies. And a listed company, thanks to stock exchange rules, needs to provide information for the benefit of investors, future investors, current investors. In a sense, that means that those companies information about their activities is much more easily attainable than for the majority of Namibian companies which are not listed and have no obligation to share what they're actually busy with, how things are going. They can always just paint a rosy picture even if there's disaster happening. And but that information which exists in the world is still not always readily available to our citizens. So I developed a passion for it because in delving into that information, not only was it easier to inform my fellow Namibians, but I discovered that actually in many respects Namibia is on the forefront. We are developing and implementing cutting edge technologies. We are even just maintaining and extending the life of mine of various operations which are significant when compared all over the world. You know, if you keep a mine going for 10 years, it's significant. If you keep it going for 20 years, that's an achievement. But we have mines, specifically Rössing Uranium, which is the longest continuously running uranium mine in the world. They've surpassed 45 years and are fast approaching 50 and have extended their life of mine. Just in February, they got the go-ahead all the way up to 2036. So it's something to be proud of, and it's an area in which we are experts, which the world recognizes, but many Namibians don't realize.
Yeah. Talking about Rössing Uranium, you recently visited the mine. What was the aim of the visit and what was the experience like?
It was a wonderful experience. The aim of the visit, they invited the media to an event on Friday at the mine. It was a rare occasion where we had a briefing where they explained where the business is and where it's going and significant developments, and they gave us a tour. Although we didn't go into many of the restricted safety sections for obvious reasons, because you need to be vetted and you need training and it would take a long preparation time. We did get to go to the incredible open pit, the SJ pit, which is already 410 meters deep. It's 3.5 kilometers long, kilometer and a half wide. So it's a massive pit. And also we got to drive through and got to the lookout point to look over the plant, which is an extensive plant and also a very high technology plant. And just to see that not only is it in Namibia, but currently they've got 98.8% Namibians working there. So every conceivable function there is carried out by a Namibian. And it's something to be proud of, I think.
Yeah, thank you for that. Any final words from yourself?
Just that, at Rössing there are significant developments underway. They have just in May signed with Beifang, which is a contractor from China. Beifang is also very much involved at Husab. And by 2027, Beifang will be taking over all of the actual mining at Rössing. But there's a whole process that's going to lead up to that. The managing director of Rössing, Mr. Johan Kutsia, elaborated on why it is necessary and how they're going to go about it. I managed to put together a small video which I hope your viewers can enjoy. And but it's not the only thing. Also in terms of mining, we are in July, and at the end of August, the Chamber of Mines will have their annual expo. We are also, as Namibia Media Holdings, putting together our annual mining focus magazine, glossy magazine, and publication, which will also be carried in all of our newspapers. There'll be video. So it's time to really take an interest in mining, and there's lots of opportunities for Namibia in mining, and it's one of the sectors where, especially if you get work at one of the more established companies, our laws are very employer friendly. There's recourse. So it's a career that's worth considering, especially for the young people. Upskill yourself. The world is changing. Technology is changing all the time. But with dedication, you can secure a future for yourself and your family. So in these trying times, I think those are important considerations.
Yeah, Augetto, thank you very much for your time, and please continue putting in the work. I'm sure the public appreciates your work.
Thank you, Philip.
They have to speak on the plant to make phase 4 possible. Okay, we have eventually then an expression of interest from 20 contractor companies. And as we go through the process of narrowing down, we ended up with 3 companies that was the final shortlist. And at the end of the day, the successful company was Beifang. Very important, Beifang has also in that contract with them, Beifang will have 95% Namibians working for Namibia. They're currently recruiting, so you might have seen Beifang recruiting in there, but they will have more than 95% Namibians. And that senior management, because they're a Chinese-owned company, there will be Chinese nationals in that as well.
When did you sign?
I think it was May. Yeah, it was May. It was the board only approved in February, and then we could finalize it.
Thank you very much.
So what we're doing currently, we are going to mine in the bottom of the pit here, phase 2 and phase 3, until 2026. But the pit is getting narrower and narrower. So we're going to get to a stage basically at the end of next year, where that bottom of the pit is too narrow for us to work with this big 180. Okay? But what we will do in the meantime, phase 4 is on that side of the pit. It was just a bit that we have to mine down again. Okay? That first 200 meters of that pit is just waste. There's no uranium in there. So the material we're going to mine here until the end of 2026 have to pay for that rock with just mine and put on waste dumps. So what's going to happen next year, Beifang is now recruiting, they're busy buying 100-ton trucks, smaller trucks. They will now start opening up that area there for the next year, in 2024, whilst our fleet still mine down on the bottom here. In 2025, there will be enough space for our trucks to go there, and their smaller trucks to come here. So in 2025, we swap the 2 fleets around. And Rössing will continue mining that down to that level where that road is going, whilst Beifang is in mining a narrow pit in the bottom with smaller machines. In end of 2026, we will be at that, what called 2011. We will start getting into uranium. Our fleet will then stop mining, and then Beifang will go back, because then we not deplete the oil, then it's again too narrow to mine there. And they will go back and they will mine there from there downwards. The things we did, we updated the mine closure plan as well last year. So we had 2 streams running. The one was life of mine expansion, and one was mine closure. Because if we couldn't get that project approved, then we would have closed the mine in 2026. So we've updated the closure plans, we've updated the costing assigned to that. And we are now currently in the process. Jackie and the team is very much busy engaging the regulators for them to do it. Because currently in Namibia, we don't have a law that regulates closure. So there is a draft closure plan that the government has been putting together. But what we're doing now is we're actually taking through what we plan to do. And also comment on what that draft bill says. But we've got a closure plan. It's a very thick document. We have Rössing, since they started putting money in a trust for closure. So that money can't be touched. So when the Rössing closes one day, according to what's agreed with the government, the closure plan, we use that money to do it. And every year we keep on putting money into that trust.
Looking at other news on the African continent, the police in Kenya recently intervened in tax matters in the country. Let's have a look.
Kenya police fired dozens of tear gas canisters into a crowd of opposition supporters on Friday. This demonstration in the capital, Nairobi, was to protest recent tax hikes.
We are dead!
It was called by opposition leader Raila Odinga to oppose the increases at a time when many are struggling with high prices for basic commodities such as maize flour. Before marching, he had accused members of parliament of betraying the people.
Ready, 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 go! Go!
A rally of around 2,000 people then marched towards another park in the capital's main business district. Police then fired tear gas. Some protesters retaliated with rocks. Television news also aired footage of police firing tear gas in the port city of Mombasa and other towns. Human rights group Amnesty International said police had arrested several protesters in the capital and western Kenya. There was no immediate comment from police. The government of President William Ruto says the tax measures are needed to help deal with the country's growing debt repayments and fund job creation initiatives. The hikes are expected to raise an extra 200 billion shillings, or around $1.4 billion. However, Kenya's High Court has ordered that they be suspended. The government went ahead with raising petrol prices anyway. That will bring the case back to court on Monday for a ruling on a contempt application.
Thank you so much to FMB for this opportunity. Thank you so much to FNB. What an experience. I never got to do shopping in 5 minutes, but look at all this.
My colleague Jomeri Dadi recently spoke to Bianca Schmidt from Alexforbes on financial planning. Let's have a look.
Especially after COVID, the environment has changed quickly, rapidly, big changes. And how does this really impact on clients?
Again, if I can come back to the privilege of being a member of a retirement fund, it is truly a privilege. I've seen that members are too comfortable, thinking, okay, I'm a member on a retirement fund, actively participating, contributing, I've got some nice benefits linked to my retirement fund. But in no way is your financial well-being or your retirement well-being secured through that portion or that savings component. So I think it's sometimes a false piece that we experience. And we've talked about the benefit of a retirement fund. And again, I would like to share some statistics. If we look how the retirement fund industry has changed over the past few decades, looking at the 80s. In the 80s, retirement funds really had it easier to achieve double-digit returns. On the retirement funds, year on year, the average retirement age in the 80s was 65.
Precisely.
And members or retirees lived into retirement maybe 10 to maximum 15 years into retirement. Today, it is a total different story. Because of all the legislation and also a different economic climate that we are living in, retirement funds find it very challenging to achieve double-digit returns year on year. Plus, if we look at the average retirement age today, it is around about 59 to 60. Mm-hmm. We live much longer into retirement. So here's another shocker. The average retiree can live into retirement another 25 to 30 years, especially females. So again, if you look at the recipe here, we save too little, not adequate at all. We live much longer into retirement. And ultimately, we get to a point where we actually deplete our capital if we are not adequately prepared for retirement. So just looking at the purpose of a retirement fund, it's very important, but yes, you as a member, you should be the captain of your own retirement boat, or retirementship, you cannot expect your employer to make sure that you are okay when you reach retirement age. Very much, again, different to the 80s. In the 80s, the benefit was sort of guaranteed to the member with the defined benefit funds. Yes, so you had a guarantee of I will be okay.
Yes.
It's very much different with the defined contribution funds.
Indeed it is. If I just compare my situation with that of my parents, you can see that change in practical terms so incredibly clearly.
Absolutely.
Bianca, it has been fascinating talking to you. Thank you for the stats. Thank you for the layman's terms. I'm sure this is not the last time you'll come and visit us in the studio, but for now, do you have any closing remarks?
Yes, I want to leave this message with our audience. Do not underestimate the value of advice and partnering with a financial coach very early in life. It will really impact your total financial well-being. It will make sure that you are actually financially independent. Partnering with a financial coach is not a luxury, okay? It's a necessity. So I would like to invite all to join with us whenever they need assistance.
She has an official title at Alexforbes. After our conversation, I'd like to refer to her as the Chief Financial Planner Guru of Alexforbes. Bianca, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Connection. It's in the human touch, the feeling of belonging. It inspires us and empowers us, creates clarity from complexity. It starts new conversations, unlocks the power of advice, and makes an impact on your life. At Alexforbes, we pioneer insight to provide you with advice that connects your decisions of today to your impact tomorrow.
That's all we had for you tonight. Playing out, let's look at the hunger crisis in Ethiopia. I hope you enjoyed the show. Until next time.
Curled up on a bed, Tsega Shishai struggles to breathe. The 10-year-old weighs just 22 pounds. Her doctor says she's dying. The guns may have fallen silent in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region, but the suffering has not ended. An acute food shortage now grips a population already hit by 2 years of war and struggling with drought. Tsege's father, Asmelash Shishai, says her body is so damaged by malnutrition that she is unable to eat.
Initially, we were trying to give her soup mixed with milk, but unfortunately she doesn't take food now. This is all because we didn't have any food in the beginning.
Food deliveries had resumed to Tigray after a ceasefire deal in November, but they have again been disrupted. The UN's World Food Programme and the US Agency for International Development have temporarily suspended food aid, alleging it was being diverted away from those in need. Ethiopia's government has said it is investigating, but criticised the suspension. An Ethiopian government spokesperson did not respond to a request for comment. Gebrehewot Gebrexiab is head of the Tigray Region Disaster Risk Management Commission. He said that 595 people had died from the direct or indirect effects of hunger in several areas of Tigray. The president of the Tigray Interim Administration, Getachew Reda, has said on Twitter that he had held talks with WFP officials about efforts to resume aid flows. Both the WFP and USAID said they are working to ensure aid reaches the intended recipients and aim to restart deliveries as soon as possible. WFP Senior Regional Communications Officer for Eastern Africa, Brenda Kariuki.
We are currently on track to resume food distributions in July, starting in the Tigray region. We are also implementing a new targeting methodology to identify the most vulnerable in the communities and rolling out a new digital registration system so that WFP can better identify and verify beneficiaries to ensure that the right people are receiving critical food at the right time.
According to the WFP, around a fifth of Tigray's 6 million population was severely food insecure in February. People like farmer Woldeselassie Gebremedin and his 3 children are struggling to survive. They live at a school in Abiadi, a town hosting 51,000 people displaced by fighting. An official at the makeshift camp said 118 people there were in a critical condition due to malnutrition. Woldeselassie says his wife has already died of hunger. My wish and my prayer, he says, is to not see my children dying before me.